The world held its breath as World War II neared its end. An island nation prepared for total annihilation against an unstoppable force, weighing unimaginable costs. History chose one chilling path. But what if the US launched its full invasion of Japan? And let's find the answer to the question, what if? Had the invasion occurred, Operation Downfall would have unleashed an inferno of unprecedented scale. Millions of allied forces in the largest amphibious assault ever conceived would have landed on Kyushu, Operation Olympic, and then Honshu, Operation Coronet. Imagine the immense armada and relentless waves of soldiers hitting shores defended with suicidal resolve. Japan's desperate Ketsu-go strategy meant mobilizing every able-bodied person, not just military remnants, but civilian militias, women, and children, armed with anything from rifles to sharpened bamboo spears. Psychological warfare and kamikaze tactics would have ensured a fight to the last. This wasn't a conflict of months, but years. A grinding, bloody struggle, house to house, cave to cave, with horrendous casualties for both sides, far exceeding any previous Pacific battle, stretching the will and resources of all combatants to their absolute breaking point. A full-scale invasion would shatter Japan, leaving it a profoundly fractured nation. Sustained warfare across the home islands would cause unprecedented devastation, reducing cities to rubble and scorching agricultural lands. This would trigger widespread famine and disease, far eclipsing any previous wartime suffering. The ensuing occupation would be prolonged and punitive, fostering deep resentment and widespread long-term insurgency movements fueled by nationalism. Japan's path to recovery would be fraught, possibly for decades. The imperial institution's fate would be precarious, its potential removal or subjugation fundamentally altering Japanese identity. Democratic development would be severely delayed, potentially giving rise to new militarized factions or a highly nationalistic state under a different guise, rather than the peaceful democratic nation we know today. The immense human and material cost of an invasion would severely deplete American resources. This would slow its post-war economic recovery and diminish its capacity to project influence globally, potentially delaying or preventing the American century as we know it. Simultaneously, with the United States deeply entangled in Japan, the Soviet Union, less exhausted by the Pacific War, could capitalize. It might expand its territorial gains in Manchuria, Korea, and possibly even claim parts of Japan, drastically shifting the regional power balance. This prolonged conflict would fundamentally reshape the ideological struggles and global alliances that emerged in the actual post-war era. Without the swift end to the Pacific conflict, the formation of international bodies and frameworks would undoubtedly follow a vastly different trajectory, leading to a more fractured, less integrated global landscape. If atomic bombs didn't end the war, their perceived strategic value and moral implications would shift dramatically. Would their development continue with even greater urgency, potentially leading to their deployment in future conflicts? Or would the world recoil from their use if they proved insufficient to avert such a costly invasion? Without the shock of an atomic end, military doctrines would likely continue to prioritize massive conventional force, including complex amphibious assaults, intense urban combat, and grueling counterinsurgency tactics. The urgent drive for rapid, single-strike technological superiority might be less pronounced. Domestically, the United States would face profound long-term societal effects. Protracted war fatigue, a generation of veterans traumatized by an even more horrific conflict, and increased social unrest could lead to significant political shifts, isolationist sentiments, or even a more militarized society at home. The repercussions of Operation Downfall would ripple across the globe, fundamentally reshaping East Asia. China's trajectory and the Korean Peninsula's fate would diverge dramatically, perhaps leading to new regional powers emerging or existing ones gaining disproportionate influence. Crucially, the American century as we know it would likely be delayed or significantly curtailed. The immense strain on US resources and moral authority would diminish its global leadership, fostering a more multipolar or fragmented world order. Consequently, international cooperation and security organizations like the UN might never form in the same way, potentially leading to prolonged regional conflicts and shifting alliances rather than a unified global framework for peace. Operation Downfall would have brought unimaginable devastation, depleting US resources, shattering Japan, and drastically altering the global order. In your opinion, what if the United States had invaded the Japanese mainland? Share your thoughts in the comments.